The history of the Silver Cross Mother. The National Silver Cross Mother is a mother of a fallen Canadian service member who is selected by the Royal Canadian Legion to represent all the mothers of fallen Canadians, not only at Remembrance Day but at other events throughout her tenure. The main duty of the National Silver Cross Mother is to lay a wreath at the National War Memorial during the National Remembrance Day ceremony, held in Ottawa on November 11th. She does so on behalf of all Canadian mothers who have lost a child in service to Canada. The tenure of the Silver Cross Mother begins on the 1st of November and ends on the 31st of October the next year. Throughout her tenure, she also is called upon to perform various other duties honoring the fallen of all conflicts. The Silver Cross Mother was first introduced in the year of 1936, when the first Silver Cross Mother, Mrs. Charlotte Susan Wood, of Winnipeg, Manitoba, was selected to place a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier at Westminster Abbey in London. She placed the wreath on behalf of all Canadian mothers who had lost a child that was serving in the military. Mrs. Wood was the mother of 12 children, 6 stepsons and 5 sons and a daughter of her own. All 11 of her sons enlisted to serve during the Great War, serving with both the Canadian and British forces. Unfortunately, 5 of her sons would give their lives, making her a 5-time Silver Cross recipient. The first of her sons that fell was Private Frederick Francis Wood, a member of the Duke of Cambridge own Middlesex Regiment, who was killed in action near Mons, Belgium on the 24th of August, 1914. A second son, Private Peter Percy Wood, of the Canadian Infantry, Saskatchewan Regiment, fell at the Battle of Vimy Ridge on the 5th of May, 1917. The other Wood's children to give their lives during the war were Louis, who was lost at sea while serving aboard the HMS Hogue, Harry, killed in action on the Hellas front at Gallipoli, and Joseph, killed in action at the Battle of Passchendaele. She would become known as Canada's most famous war mother. She was very active in many veterans and war widows organizations, and was awarded the George V Jubilee Medal in 1935. She also was presented to His Majesty King Edward VII while attending the unveiling of the Vimy Memorial in 1936. While being presented to the King, she reportedly said, "I have just been looking at the trenches, and I can't figure out why our boys had to go through that." To which the King replied, "Please God, Mrs. Wood, it shall never happen again." Mrs. Wood passed away just a few weeks after the start of the Second World War and was buried in an unmarked grave in Winnipeg's Brookside Cemetery. 60 years later, she would have a new headstone erected at her grave. The Silver Cross Mother is named after a decoration that was first instituted shortly after the First World War, via Order in Council number 2374 of 1 December 1919. This decoration is called the Memorial Cross, which is informally called the Silver Cross, hence the title of Silver Cross Mother. The Memorial Cross is presented to widows and mothers of fallen Canadian service members as a memento of loss and sacrifice on the part of the widows and mothers. It is sent automatically to widows and mothers that qualify, and can be worn by the recipient any time, even though they are not veterans themselves. The decoration is in the form of a cross pate made of silver and suspended by a bar brooch. Prior to 1945, it was suspended by a light purple ribbon. At the top of the cross is a crown, and on the remaining cross points are maple leaves. In the center of the decoration within the laurel wreath is the royal cipher of the current reigning monarch. The decoration is also engraved with the service number, rank, and name of the fallen. There are 3 versions of the decoration. One featuring the cipher GRI for George V, one with GVIR for George VI, and one with EIIR for Elizabeth II. Recently, there have been changes to who can be a recipient. It's now up to 3 persons who are a fallen's next of kin can be designated as a recipient. The changes were made in order to stay current with modern societal norms, as previously it could only be awarded to widows and mothers. The Memorial Cross has been the influence for another similar decoration, called the Memorial Ribbon, which was created as a symbol of personal loss and sacrifice of the recipient. It can be issued to up to 5 individuals who are the next of kin of a fallen Canadian service member and who are not already a recipient of the Memorial Cross. The criteria for issue is if a Canadian service member's death was a result of duty-related illness or injury on or after 1 October 1947. This was the first inscribed date in the Service to Canada Book of Remembrance that lies in the Peace Tower. To date, there have been 80 Silver Cross mothers, each representing a fallen child, or in some cases children, only 2 of which have served consecutive year terms. Mrs. C. Lewis served from 1939 to 1941, and Mrs. J. I. McCleary, who served from 1944 to 1946. The current Silver Cross mother is Mrs. Candy Greff of Lacombe, Alberta. She is the mother of Master Corporal Byron Greff, 3rd Battalion PPCLI, who was killed in action on the 29th of October 2011 when the NATO bus he was riding in was hit by a vehicle-borne IED. Master Corporal Greff was the last Canadian to give his life during Canada's mission in Afghanistan. This year's Silver Cross mother has a Swift Current connection, as her son, Master Corporal Greff, was born in Swift Current on the 11th of August, 1983. Master Corporal Greff was featured as the Veteran of the Week for Week 3 of this year's Veteran of the Week program. You can find his write-up on our website and our YouTube page, lest we forget.